Hey guys, it's Emily, and today I'm going to be going through my May TBR. I'm quite excited for my reading plans for this month because I'm back into a great reading mood. I'm out of my slump, finally, fingers crossed, but I feel like I'm just back into a reading groove and I am really into the idea of reading books right now. So I have quite the massive TBR for this month. I'll be honest, it's a little bit overambitious, especially considering the fact that I have books that I have not included in this TBR because I'm hoping to do like special secret projects this month. So we'll see if I'm able to make everything happen. But let's just dive into the stack of books, shall we? So number one thing that you should know is that I'm participating in the Asian Readathon hosted by Cindy this month, and this is a readathon that celebrates Asian authors and their books, and I am very excited to participate in. I have 5 books to fit the 5 different prompts, and one of the twists is that you cannot use authors of the same ethnicity to cover the challenges. So let's say I read one book to cover challenges like 1, 2, and 4, and it's a Japanese author. Then for challenges 3 and 5, I have to use a book that is written by an author of a different ethnicity, and that's just to make sure that we read from different ethnicities, like to prove that Asian people are not like one and the same, because that's a stereotype. So I've tried my best to bear that in mind when building this TBR. So challenge number 1 is to read a book that is written by an Asian author. So basically any of the books that I read for the readathon would count for this, but the one that I have specifically chosen for this prompt is Made in Korea by Sarah Suk. So I received this as a gift, I think from a giveaway that I won last year. It was also an ARC that I had on NetGalley, and I never really got around to it. I think I made it like through the first 30 pages and I had to put it down because I was filming something else at the time. But it's a book that I'm very intrigued by because it follows 2 young people who are going to be competing in this like business-like competition at school. I think they're both selling Korean beauty products at school, and obviously there's going to be more than just a competition. It's kind of a rivals to lover story, and I don't know, I'm very excited to read this, and this cover is really pretty too. So hopefully I'll be finally able to read it this year. The second prompt is to read a book that features an Asian character that is a woman and or older. So for that I have decided to go with the Ember Quartet by Sabaa Tahir. So here I have book 2 and 3, so A Torch Against the Night and A Reaper at the Gates. This series features characters of all ages. We also have both men and women, and so I thought this would fit this prompt pretty well. I do feel like we have a couple of older women characters and a couple of like older characters, or not necessarily women, and some that are just women without being necessarily older. So I feel like this just covers this quite well, and so since I have been meaning to finish the series, I thought this was the perfect time for me to finally pick it up. I have just finished my read of An Ember in the Ashes, and so I'm going to be reading A Torch Against the Night for sure soon, but I think I'm going to use A Reaper at the Gates to cover the prompt. This is book 3 in the quartet, and if possible I would also like to read A Sky Beyond the Storm, I think that's the name of the 4th book, and finally finish the series. But just to make sure that I at least finish the books that I physically own, I would like to get to A Reaper at the Gate. So this is the one that I'm going to specifically use for this prompt. Challenge number 3 is to read a book by an Asian author that has a universe you would want to experience, or a universe that is totally different from yours. For this prompt, I decided to go with Kiki's Delivery Service by Eiko Kadono. So this is what inspired a very popular Ghibli movie. I would also like to watch the movie at some point this month, but this is a middle grade book that follows Kiki, who is a witch, and she's gonna go to this village and try to help people out, but I think she's not a very good witch from what I know. I don't know, I've been meaning to finally get into Studio Ghibli, and I have seen a lot of like images from either like the different films or just the universe of these Studio Ghibli movies. They sound like just the perfect spring and like cottagecore books, and like the vibe and the setting just sounds perfect. So I thought that this would be something that I would want to experience, so I decided to use this book to cover this prompt. The 4th prompt is to read a book that has a cover worthy of googly eyes. I have personally chosen Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hing Wen. I really love this cover. For starters, I think it's really pretty, and even the back is very stunning. I just really love the look. It's very sleek, very chic. I also really like the color palette. I don't know. There's just something about this cover that makes me have, I guess, googly eyes. But this follows our main character who is being sent to Taiwan, I think, at a boarding school for some reason. I think she's kind of a party girl or something. Not too sure. But I have heard very mixed reviews about this one, I'll be honest. But knowing that this is being turned into a movie and that there's a sequel that just came out. I am excited to read it just to know what the hype is all about. I just thought that this was a very pretty cover, and so this just felt like the perfect time for me to read this book. Prompt number 5 and the final challenge for this readathon is to read a book by an Asian author that has a high rating or that was highly recommended. And for that I decided to go with Front Desk by Kelly Yang. Now I don't know if this has a high rating, I didn't check Goodreads, but this came in highly recommended from Gavin over at How to Train Your Gavin. He is the entire reason why I bought this. I've heard incredible things about this one. This is a beginning of a new middle grade series. I believe that this follows our main character, who is a Chinese immigrant, and she works at this motel with her parents, and so I don't know, I'm excited to read this. I think it's going to be one that I'm going to enjoy. I think it won a prize from what we can tell on the cover. I don't know which prize. So that is all of the books that I'm planning on reading for the Asian Readathon. Now I also wanted to add in a couple of spring books because I mean, 'tis the season, I guess. I feel like with the weather being warmer here, I finally feel like it's spring, and so I wanted to throw in a couple of spring books that I think would just be perfect for this time of year. The first one of which being The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I have heard simply incredible things about this one. It's one of BookTube's most hyped books. I feel like this is the Evelyn Hugo of 2020, and so I am very excited to read this. I've heard that this is kind of a Pixar movie turned into a book that's kind of middle grade and adult. I don't know. I've heard nothing but great things about this, and I've been told that this was a perfect time of year to read it, so I'm hoping to finally be able to read this one. I also wanted to add in a classic because I do have quite a few on my shelves, but I never really gravitate towards, but I thought that this one would be perfect for this time of year, and it is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I don't know much about this one, but I've been told that the setting and like the story makes it perfect to read at this time of year because it involves a garden, and with spring, I mean, we get the blooms of flowers, the nature comes back to life, and it's kind of the central focus of this book. And so I thought I would give it a try. It is a children's classic, so it should be easier for me to read. I have also downloaded the audiobook, so hopefully I will finally get around to this classic. I'm also adding Mythos by Stephen Fry to my TBR because yes, I'm still reading this. I know I had it in my February TBR. I haven't really continued reading it since February. Like, I read it in February. I read the first 100 pages of this book actually, and I was really enjoying it. I loved the experience with the audiobook and everything, but for some reason in March and April, because I was kind of in a slump, I just wasn't really feeling it, and when I was reading books I wasn't picking this one up specifically, but I do really want to get back into it, and so I thought that this would be a great opportunity for me to continue reading this. I don't know if I'll finish it this month, but I would like to make more progress within this book because I do love the format. Like, it's different, almost like short stories. Like, you can read a couple of pages a day and listen to the audiobook, and it's just a great time. And so I think this is one that I would like to continue reading this month. If I can, I would like to finish it, but we'll see. And finally, one that I am very excited, it's going to be a new release. I'm so pumped, I just need my copy to arrive, is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So it's her most recent adult romance release, and so I'm very excited. I have it pre-ordered. I don't have my copy yet, but I cannot wait for this book to come out and finally read it. I don't really know what it's about. I think it follows an author and her editor, though I could be wrong. All that I know is that it features book people because the title of the book is Book Lovers, and I think the publishing industry plays a part in the story, but that's all that I know, and honestly I don't really need to know more. I just love Emily Henry and I'll read pretty much anything that she writes, so I'm very excited for this one. Alright, so that is it for my May TBR. It is quite ambitious, I'll admit. I think I have like 10 books on there, and that's not even including the books that I want to read for like secret TBR projects, so yeah, we'll see if that happens or not, but hopefully I'll get to as many of them as I possibly can. And let me know if you guys are participating in the Asian Readathon, and if so, what you are going to be reading. I would love to get more recommendations from you guys, and let me know what you're reading in May. Even if you're not participating in the Readathon, I would love to know what you guys are planning on reading this month. And I guess that's it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!